Welcome to episode 768 of Salsido Paranormal. Or isn't that? No, I'm sorry. 767, I believe, of Salsido Paranormal. It will say the correct episode in the episode description if I messed that up too badly. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'll be talking about experiences, true paranormal stories on the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, ways to listen, and social media links and ways to support the show at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And also, please check out all the links in the episode description for our friends of the show. You'll always find a link to Jen, the Arcane Observer, and her channel, her link tree, as well as links to Michael Strange and the Trouble Minds radio network and show. The network is Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear all kinds of amazing shows 24/7, and mine as well. So I think that takes care of everything so far, and we can get to back to the true stories here. So let me get back to the file. Thank you all for being here. And also, you'll notice in the episode descriptions now, I may eventually remove it, but I'm not sure. I might leave it in there. We'll see. There's a link to the merchandise store that we have now for the podcast. So, and special thanks again to Sweets for making a couple of those designs and pointing me in the direction of that particular website. And yeah, it's amazing how it's worked so far. I'm really grateful for that. So, excuse me. Let me scroll down a little bit here, and we'll get to this next true story. This one says, I worked as the usher manager at a historical theater for over 10 years and had many experiences with the paranormal. The theater was built in the 1920s next to a Spanish Catholic mission. On this particular night, the theater there we go. Lost our spot. The theater was hosting a play, and the balcony was closed due to low attendance, with only about 700 patrons out of a typical 1,300. About 45 minutes into the show, the stage crew reported seeing someone sitting in the center of the balcony. But when two ushers went to investigate, they found no one. During intermission, I checked with the spot crew, and they said they didn't see anyone, but heard the radio call. I found a single seat in the center of the balcony in a down position, as if someone was sitting there. The show began again, and about 15 minutes in, I received another radio call from backstage saying someone was sitting in the center of the balcony again. I radioed the spot crew, who said a man was sitting there, and I personally went up to escort the patron down. As I approached the seat, the person looked over and faded away as I reached it. I then saw the same man walking or floating toward the office doors, which were locked, and it disappeared through the door. I told the backstage crew to ignore it if they saw it again, and the incident spooked the rest of the staff, but they continued to work until the end of the show. And that's where that one ends. Sounds like if you want to call it typical, but sounds like a common kind of occurrence in a theater. These apparitions that show up to watch the plays or the movies or whatever is going on there And it's amazing when those show up, and I can't tell you how many similar accounts I've heard and read over the years about theaters. Just it's amazing. There's a saying that all theaters are haunted, and I'm not sure if that's exactly true, but I can tell you there's plenty of places that seem to have activity in them, and that is just another example. And that the writer there, I mean, for good reason as far as privacy goes, I don't blame them, but they didn't even mention which theater that was. Um, so it's really an amazing account of uh, a spirit or soul or consciousness just hanging out, watching the play, and being bothered by the staff because the staff doesn't think anyone's supposed to be up there in the balcony. So really amazing one there, the detail and everything. And as far as what the whole crew, I mean, multiple people apparently saw this figure. And so, yeah, I thought that was an amazing one. And just, I've come across similar ones so often that I always love to share those because they happen. And so, yeah, I thought that was a neat one to bring in and start the show with. Wasn't planning on starting it with that, but I read them as I go, and that's how the shows are formed. Moving on to the next one here. This one says, I was 13 years old, practicing for a dance performance, with my mom watching, when I saw a woman with dark hair and a white dress in my family living room, which faced our backyard. The woman was dirty, had sharp teeth, and her skin was a white-gray color. Her eyes were black and blended in with the into the black ring around them. I froze and stared at the woman for what felt like a minute until my mom asked what was wrong. When my mom pulled my attention away from the woman, she was gone, and there were no signs of anyone standing outside the window. My mom believes I saw something because I went pale and was staring out the window. My house was located between two cemeteries, and my mom had reported hearing whistling and also seen a man in the drain. I'm guessing drainage ditch. Not sure. But no one else had seen it. I have never seen the woman again, but I can still picture her clearly. I think the woman might be similar to the ghost from horror movies, but with some differences. I know this sounds crazy, but it is what happened. What did I see? And that's where that one ends. That one is a wild one as well. Just the it's almost like a woman in white, but not quite. It's somewhat different in that, again, it's more like a horror movie sighting. I have heard that certain fae or little people have sharp teeth. I wonder if there's a connection there. I don't know, but that's quite the sighting, and it sounds like, again, the family home is near two cemeteries. So, and the mom had experiences as well. So it sounds like that might just be an active area. And then those two, the mother and I'm guessing daughter, maybe they were more sensitive than the rest of the family. I'm not sure, but it's possibly a mixture of both. But yeah, the figure that is seen in real life by people before they even see any of the major horror movies out there, that have this kind of similar figure, not quite the same as the writer says, but similar. It's weird how that works, and there have been, of course, reports of similar figures before and after these movies come out, and I've heard that with other things as well. I won't go into detail here because there's a lot of dark stuff surrounding it, but with the whole Slender Man thing, that figures that are similar to that were seen years before that online character was ever created. And so how does that work? Was the person that made the images that started that whole phenomenon, were they picking up on something? I don't know, but it is weird how fiction and reality, whatever that is, seem to go in cycles and have just connections between them in different points in time. And I don't know how that works or why that works, but it seems to be the case. So, moving on to the next one here. Let me see. And well, this one is a longer one, so that's good. This one says, my husband, who is 24 years old, and I am 22 years old, have just moved into a new home in a quiet area near a church. On Sundays, we can hear the church music from our living room. My husband works early hours, and I wait with him on the curb for his ride to work. On the previous morning, my husband reported seeing what looked like dogs walking in a circular motion, in the light in front of the church. This morning, we went outside to wait for his ride and noticed that the neighboring dogs and our own dog were all barking nonstop, as if warning us of something. My husband saw these dogs, in quotation marks there, which initially appeared to be one, and then two, and then eventually four dogs walking in a circle pattern with their noses pointing upwards. One of these dogs, in quotation marks, moved away from the circle and stared directly at us for a few seconds before moving towards a tree. When it walked past the tree, a black human-shaped figure emerged from the other side, approximately 7 to 8 feet tall, and stared directly at us for a few seconds before disappearing behind the tree. The dog, in quotation marks, then reemerged from the other side of the tree and continued moving in the circle pattern. When my husband's ride arrived, the light shone on the creatures, and their eyes did not reflect the light like normal dog eyes do, appearing instead to absorb the light. I did not feel scared or threatened, but my husband became nervous. Does anyone have an explanation for what these creatures were? I have done some research, but haven't found anything that matches what we saw. And that's where that one ends. That is just amazing. I'm guessing it was a shape. They were able to change their shape. I'm saying I'm a lot anyway. They were able to change their shape while behind the tree. I wonder if that was done intentionally to, I don't know, to scare the people there. But then if that's the case, then you would think it would just change out in the open. So I don't know. I wonder if there was some kind of reason for the figure changing from a dog shape into a human shape to maybe get a different perspective on the writer and their husband who are watching at the time. I don't know. There's a lot in that one that is just unusual overall. It sounds like there were maybe shadowy figures, shadowy dogs, and this shadow figure. But clear enough to where the people could see the lights that were that from the ride showing on the dogs. They could still see them, and they didn't fade or didn't go away that because of that. There's a lot to wonder about in that one. I am glad that the writer didn't feel frightened. I can also understand the husband being nervous because it is something you don't see all the time, obviously. But hopefully, the there's nothing dangerous about whatever they saw. And it's funny, I just thought I heard a noise, but it could be my headset. So yeah, that's an amazing one there, and to have that 2 days in a row, the husband saw it 2 days in a row. At least the dogs, anyway, the dog-like figures. But yeah, that's a wild story there. I think it was my headset shifting. So anyway, moving on to the next one here. Okay. This one says, my dad was considering buying an old barn in northeastern Montana, which was part of an abandoned ranch. We went to inspect the barn and found it to be in excellent condition, with a gravel-covered dirt floor and 4 or 5 stanchions. I'm guessing they mean support posts or whatever. My dad took photos of the interior and exterior of the barn using a wind-up camera, which developed the photos at a major store chain. When the photos were developed, one of them showed the interior of the barn in a state of disarray, with hay everywhere and no gravel on the floor. The photo also showed a silhouette of a man without a head on the first center stanchion. On it or near? That says on, so I don't know. So I guess if it's a shadow, never mind. Sorry about that. With footprints leading to the stanchion, but not out of the barn. My dad and I returned to the barn owner and showed him the photos, including the strange one. The barn owner's face turned pale white, and he revealed that his grandfather had been murdered when he, the owner, was a child, but the murder was never solved. My dad decided not to buy the barn, and the owner had it torn down the following year. The experience was one of the spookiest I have ever been a part of. And that's where that one ends. The photo is amazing if you think about that. You have regular photos of a cleaned out and everything in order, kind of empty barn. And then before and after, or in the middle of them, I should say, you have this one picture that looks completely different. I would say it was a time anomaly, except then what was the deal with the shadow figure or the silhouette? Was it a shadow figure or was it just a silhouette? I don't know. But if it's not a time anomaly where the picture somehow caught a glimpse of another time, then it seems like maybe it was a message. Someone, possibly the grandfather, manipulated that camera for a moment to show the image that the people saw in that photo. And I don't know, those are always amazing when you have pictures that come out different than they're supposed to, where it's not just one minor glitch here or there, it's an entire, almost like a different image entirely. I've heard of a few accounts like that over the years, and those are always just, that's manipulation of technology right there, is what is happening. And I don't know how it works, but But yeah, that's a wild one. A lot of amazing, sort of uncommon ones tonight, which I always love when I can find these. So we have time for one more here. This one says, I was around 10 years old and spent the night at my grandparents' house with my brother back in the 1980s. We were sleeping in the guest bedroom, which was across from our grandparents' bedroom, with the door open. I woke up in the middle of the night and saw little green men scurrying around the floor. I tried to wake up my brother, but he was fast asleep and didn't notice anything. One of the little green men climbed onto the bed, and I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or wake up my brother. The little man seemed to be searching for something on the bed, and I watched in terror, wishing someone would wake up or go to the bathroom. I eventually squeezed my eyes shut, and the next thing I knew, it was morning. I tried to convince myself it was just a dream, but deep down, I knew it felt overwhelmingly real. Years later, after our grandparents had both passed, I shared the story with my siblings, and my sister revealed that our grandfather had also told her about encountering little green men at night. This revelation confirmed to me that my experience was real, and I don't recall ever telling my grandfather about it. My brother revealed that our grandma had also told him that the little green men used to jump on him when he was trying to sleep. I wonder if they mean the grandfather or the brother. Anyway, that's where that one ends. That is one of those where I could say maybe aliens in a way, but also since they didn't have any technology that the people saw, makes me think of fairy, or little folk, or any variation of little people, small figures that people see throughout time. And there's all different kinds of them, so who knows with that one. But and again, I've heard of families, people in families having these experiences that run in families. They run through these visitations happen to different people in the family, and their descendants. And so I don't know. Was it the family themselves? Was it the house itself? I don't know with that one. There was no reports of it happening anywhere else, so it could have been just the location. But it could have also been the family. Could have been both. So, but yeah, I think that's definitely where we'll stop today. We only have a little bit of time left here, so please check out all the links and all the episode descriptions. Again, also a reminder, if you love the show at all, like the show at all, and you want to support the show but don't want to sign up for Patreon, we now have a merchandise store. And I won't be talking about this every show, but I think it's important to mention it for a few shows here and there. And just so anyone who hasn't heard about it yet can check it out. And the link is in the episode description. Thank you all for being here, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.